There are African cultural practices that one would consider absurd, but to us Africans, it is the basis of our identity and cultural pride. These range from wife stealing to potency test and lip stretching. Although some of these are no longer practiced today, they still remain relevant in the African story. Expect to be wowed while we take a look at some of these practices only found in Africa. Number 1. Spit greeting. The Masai people of Kenya and Tanzania spit as a way of greeting. Also, when a baby is born, it is customary for the men to spit on the newborn and declare him bad. This practice is said to ward off evil spirits. Additionally, the Masai warrior spit on the palm before shaking the hand of an elder. Talk about utilizing spit. Number 2. Festival of the Dead. In the Cheyawa community of Malawi, it is customary for the body of the dead to be washed during the burial ceremony. This is done by slitting open the throat of the deceased and pouring water through the inside as a way of cleansing. The water is then flushed out and used to prepare a meal for the community. Number 3. Potency test. The Bayankole tribe of Uganda has a strange tradition when it comes to marriages. It is expected that the bride's aunt has to have sex with the groom to test his potency. She also tests the bride's virginity before allowing her consummate the marriage. In some cases, the aunt will watch the new couple have sex to prove that the man is potent. Number 4. Bull jumping. In the Hamar community of Ethiopia, young boys have to undergo a certain ritual that involves jumping across the backs of several bulls, arranged in a straight and closely knit herd, pulled by the tail and horns by older men. This exercise is done to prove the transition from boyhood to manhood, and they do it stark naked. Number 5. Beating for wife. The Fulani tribe of Nigeria has a tradition known as sharo. This tradition involves beating a prospective suitor to a pulp by the older members of the community as a way of earning a wife. If the prospective suitor is not able to endure the pain, the wedding ceremony is called off. Number 6. Wife stealing. The Wodaabe people of Niger have a cultural practice that remains shocking to the rest of the world. It is wife stealing. Wodaabe marriages are arranged by parents during infancy and must be between cousins of the same lineage. The Wodaabe men are known to steal each other's wives during the Gerewol festival, where the men wear elaborate costumes and makeup to dance and impress the women. The stealing is usually done undetected, especially when the current husband does not want to part with his wife. Number 7. Lip stretching. The Surma tribe of southern Sudan and southwestern Ethiopia practice a rather bizarre tradition known as lip stretching. Here, the young women undergo a lip stretching procedure which involves the removal of their lower teeth to accommodate a lip plate. This lip plate is increased yearly until it reaches a remarkable size. Number 8. Initiation to adulthood. Though not peculiar to them, Ulwaluko is a traditional circumcision and initiation from childhood to adulthood. It is a cultural practice by the people of Xhosa in South Africa. The young men are circumcised without any form of anesthesia. They are sent to the bush, wrapped in a blanket with minimal provisions, and left to fend for themselves for 2 months before they can come home. Number 9. The mating dance. The Masai tribe of Kenya has a traditional dance for young warriors. It is also a jumping competition. The dance is known as the Adamu dance. It is usually done during the Unoto ceremony, which is done to mark the transition of junior warriors to senior warriors. The dance is a way for the young warrior to demonstrate his strength and also attract a bride to himself. Number 10. Osu caste system. The Osu caste system is a cultural practice of the Igbo people of Nigeria. It has been traced back to the time when people were offered as sacrifices to deities. The Osu were seen as inferior and were sacrificed when the need for human sacrifice arose. The Osu are segregated and made to live close to marketplaces and shrines. They are not allowed to break kola at meetings, pour a libation, or even pray on behalf of a freeborn. This African cultural practice is still upheld to this day in some parts of Igbo land. Number 11. Kusasa Fumbi. This practice is common in some parts of Africa, like Zambia, Malawi, Uganda, Tanzania, Mozambique, Angola, Ivory Coast, and Congo. It is an initiation rite of sexual cleansing, where a woman is expected to have sex after her first period, after losing her husband, or even after an abortion, as a cleansing ritual. Kusasa Fumbi is translated to brushing off the dust. It can be interpreted as brushing off childhood and inexperience in sex by actually practicing it. A man nicknamed the hyena, who doesn't use any form of protection, has sexual knowledge of these girls as a rite of passage. This practice has led to a rise in the cases of HIV and AIDS among women between the ages of 15 and 49. Number 12. Sleeping with the dead. The Luo people of western Kenya, northern Uganda, and the Mara region of northern Tanzania have a cultural practice that looks absurd to the rest of the world. They have a custom that makes a widow sleep in the same room as her late husband's corpse before the burial. It is said that the widow will have a dream of herself having sexual relations with her late husband for the last time. The dream signifies the freedom of the woman from her husband and the freedom to remarry. It is part of cleansing rites. However, if the woman does not have the dream, a more elaborate cleansing ritual will be carried out on her. Number 13. Flogging of suicide victims. It seems as though the Luo people have a lot of absurd cultural traditions, as we have another one from them. Among these people, if a person commits suicide by hanging himself on a tree, the corpse is flogged thoroughly before it is brought down and buried in a place referred to as the gunda, which is set aside for outcasts. The act is to prevent the victim's ghost or roaming evil spirits from roaming back into the home and causing other people to commit suicide. Additionally, the person is buried at night and is not mourned, or else evil spirits would haunt the mourners. Number 14. Sex offering. The Himba people of northern Namibia are famous for offering sex to guests as a way of expressing honor and fostering relationships. The practice is known as Ukujepisa Umukazendu treatment. This African cultural practice allows the wife of the house to spend the night with the visitor in their home, while the husband sleeps in a different room. In a situation where there is no extra room, the husband sleeps outside. Similarly, the wife is entitled to give out her friends to her husband when they come visit. Number 15. Second burial. The Igbo people of Nigeria have a cultural practice known as the Ikwa Ozu, where they celebrate the dead. This is known as the second burial. The ritual takes place anytime from a week to a year after the first burial. This is done as a rite of initiation of the dead person into the group of their ancestors. Families that do not perform this rite of passage may not have certain roles in the community. Number 16. Breast ironing. In Cameroon, breast ironing, also known as breast flattening, is a common cultural practice that cuts across all ethnic groups in the country. It is believed that men in the area believe that girls from as low as the age of 9 whose breasts are developing are ripe for sex. To avoid these sexual predators, mothers in the area monitor the growth of their daughters' breasts and pounce them with hot objects such as stones, hammers, pestles to slow the development. Consequently, men will find them unattractive. However, in recent times, the practice is said to reduce the chances of having breast cancer and increase milk production in lactating mothers. Number 17. Healing dance. One of the shocking African cultural practices is the healing dance of the San people of Namibia, Botswana, and Angola. It is also known as the trance dance. It is one of the most important traditions of the San people. The entire community gather around a fire, guided by a healer and elders, for several hours, sometimes even overnight. They chant songs around the fire all night until they achieve a trance-like state, which signifies having access to the spirit world. When they get to that state, they are able to walk on fire. This dance is done not only to cure physical illnesses, but also to expel evil forces that cause jealousy, rage, and conflict in the society. Number 18. The Red Ochre. The Himba tribe is no stranger to this list, as they have been mentioned before. In this cultural practice, the Himba women and girls apply a red clay mixture known as the ojize to their skin in order to have a red complexion. Ojize is a mixture of butter, lard, and red ochre paste. It is a traditional makeup they apply every morning once they are old to care for their hygiene. Number 19. Children before marriage. While in some communities it is a taboo for a couple to have sexual relations before marriage, for the Luo people of South Sudan, it is a prerequisite for marriage. The Luo people have a tradition that the woman is supposed to have birthed 2 children before the wedding is considered complete. This is after the groom pays 20 to 40 cows as dowry to the bride's family. If she ends up bearing just a child, the husband is free to ask for a divorce. After the divorce, he is asked to pick either the cows he paid or the custody of the child. In cases where there is no child, he gets a refund of his cows. Number 20. The contest of fattened men. In a world where everyone seems to think that being skinny is trendy, the Bodi tribe of Ethiopia does not agree with this notion. This tribe holds a festival every year to celebrate fat men. It is called Kael. The men are selected by their different clans and kept in isolation from their families and are fattened. During the fattening period, they are fed with a special diet made of cow blood and milk. They do not involve themselves in any physical work, including having sexual relations. On the day of the festival, the men leave their huts and the winner is selected based on who has the biggest belly and the firmest butt. He is crowned the Fat Man of the Year, a position that commands respect and pride. If there are any African cultural practices we left out, please do let us know in the comment section. While you do, like, share,